Hello, America. I'm here to give you some breaking news. I am dead. Yes, this is a video from beyond the grave. From beyond the grave! To tell you what my top 10 videos of 2022 were. Videos. Yep, that's what I meant. Videos! Ha! I meant movies. Yeah, here to get my top 10 on the last day of the year. So, if you're watching this on January 1st, or January 2nd, or January 3rd, or somewhere, or sometime in January, just know I'm a big fat liar. Yo, do you know what my number 10 is? I'll let you guess. And then, you and me. Yep. My number 10 is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Very controversial pick. Not everyone loved it. So why is it on my list? Well, I'll tell you. Now, why is that your number 10? It's a terrible movie. It's not, in my opinion. Now, listen, after I watched the movie in the theaters, and then I left the theater, the cinemas, I was like, man, I like this movie. I didn't love it. And then I rewatched it. And then I rewatched it again. And then I did it again. And again and again. And now I love it. With each rewatch, I liked the movie even more and more. Yeah, man. I love Sam Raimi. He's one of my favorite directors of all time. His influence in filmmaking style has been influential on me as a creative person. And in terms of my filmmaking, if you've seen any of my videos from my main channel, you can see the influence. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. The multiverse stuff that they do is crazy and fun and exciting. But yeah, it's a good time, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate the movie for being the first MCU horror movie. Even though it's not a full-on horror movie, but it's horrific in parts. And it'd be great to watch around Halloween time. That and Werewolf by Night. But yeah, this movie was a lot of fun. A couple criticisms. In terms of character journeys, they're not the deepest or the most substance heavy. Yeah, and the multiverse stuff, they could have went more crazier with it. But that's it. But yeah, number 10. And number 9. Where's my finger? There's no here. Where? There. I'm pointing at it. No. Okay. My number 9, I'm pointing at it. Can you see them? Can you see them? It's Sonic the Hedgehog. Those. And listen, man, I know what you're thinking. Sonic the Hedgehog and made your top 10? Doctor Strange, now this? You fucking psychopath. Listen, I'll tell you why it's on my top 10. First Sonic movie. Delightful. I loved it. That was pretty good. Second movie. I loved it. That was pretty good as well. They're good movies. These Sonic movies are good movies. They're one of the best. Not one of the best, but actually, well, they're some of the best video game adaptations for film or television, and that's a very low bar. And look, I've always been a fan of Sonic since Sonic X. And yeah, and Sonic 2 came out, was excited for it, and then I watched it and I was like, yes. I watched it twice, dude. Twice for Sonic 2. 2. And yeah, man. It's crazy. Like the first film, like, yeah, it was delightful and it was good. But, you know, what was lacking in that first film was something to make it feel more Sonic-y. You got the main character, you got his main arch nemesis, and you got the rings and all that, but you know, it was him in the real world, you know, taking a road trip with Donut Lord, which was very delightful. But, you know, it was missing all the other Sonic stuff, in my opinion. And Sonic 2, what's the word? Retrofy that. I guess that's the word. You know, they brought in Knuckles. They brought in Tails. Well, Tails was introduced in the last film, in the post-credit scene, whatever. Brought in Tails. Robotnik was more going crazier and ham with his robots, and he had his classic video game look. You know, the journey Sonic went on with Knuckles and the places they visited were very Sonic inspired. You know, they're very much inspired by levels from the Sonic games. You know, and it felt more Sonic, you know, in terms of the world building. And in terms of the story, you know, it felt like, you know, it felt like a more complete Sonic movie than the first one. And the first one's is a good movie, but this one, it helped. It made I don't know how to say it. The second Sonic movie felt like a more complete Sonic package than the first film. And yeah, it was a good time, man. A lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, have a couple criticisms. You know, there's one storyline they could have trimmed, but it is what it is. So Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is my number 9. My number 8 is Barbarian. Now, I only saw one trailer for this film, and that was in the movie theaters, and I saw Bill Skarsgård was in it, and I was like, is he a clown? You know, Bill Skarsgård playing creepy guy. You know, tell me something different. I didn't know what to expect from this film. The trailer didn't give us much of a hint as what to expect, really, other than there's like a creepy basement. And the movie didn't really tell you what was going on either until much later in the film. This film was such a surprise. It was so good. I really didn't expect much from this film. I mean, I've heard really good things about the film, but I didn't really expect much of it. The way it was shot, the acting, the way it was structured as well. You know, it's not a structure that you generally see in horror movies. Occasionally, sometimes, maybe like The Shining, I guess. Yeah, and yeah, I just didn't know what to expect. Some of the characters are very much fleshed out and three-dimensional, and it was such a surprise, dude. It's very good. It's a very good movie. I highly recommend checking it out. When they do explain what's going on, it's like, ew, that's gross. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But then, if you haven't seen it, you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But yeah, Barbarian, it's my number 8. Check it out. My number 7 is Jujutsu Kaisen 0. As you can see, right... Wait, there we go. Where I'm pointing at right now, that's a figure. That's Satoru Gojo. He's one of the main characters of Jujutsu Kaisen. And he's in this film as well. Now, the film is a prequel to the series Jujutsu Kaisen. It's an adaptation of the manga as well. Now, in terms of the adaptations, the show came out first and then the movie. In terms of the manga, Jujutsu Kaisen Zero was first, then the main series, the one starring Yuji Itadori. And so it's very interesting, retroactively they're making Jujutsu Kaisen a prequel to the show. Unlike the manga where Zero was the first, and then Jujutsu Kaisen was the sequel. I was very excited for this film. It was, I believe, in my top 10 list, of most anticipated for 2022. The video I made last year, or maybe it was early this year. I don't know. But anyway, I was very excited. I wanted to learn more about Yuta Okotsu, excuse me, because they, whenever they would mention him in the series, it was like, oh, I want to learn more about this guy. He's so mysterious. They talk about how, he had this demon with him, attached to him, and then he was like super powerful and was like a badass. And then, this movie explains it all. Who he is and what his whole deal is, and his place in the grand scheme of things. And it's a interesting and sad story of Yuta, but also a very exciting story. The things that happen in this movie will have, or had an effect on the show, and will have an effect on the show later on, I'm assuming. Again, MAPPA or MAPPA, I'm not really sure which way is the correct way to pronounce their company's name, but MAPPA, they're killing it with the animation. Like the animation for like Jujutsu Kaisen, the series, is great, especially the fight scenes. And likewise, of course, they're not going to disappoint with the movie in terms of animation. Yeah, the story for Jujutsu Kaisen Zero is simple, but also very approachable and very accessible. And it's, do you need to watch the show first before you watch the movie? Not necessarily. You can watch the movie first, then the show, or you could do the show first, then the movie. But, really, if you watch the movie, it's just it'll give you, the surface level stuff of, how things work and what's going on. But if you want a more detailed explanation, then, watch the show. But yeah, it's very fascinating, this story, in terms of the Jujutsu Kaisen story, and excited to see what effects it will have. So that's my number 7. My number 6 is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I was very excited for this movie. We knew after the first Black Panther movie, it was gonna get a sequel, so was very excited for this movie. And then, of course, Chadwick Boseman passed away, and that was very shocking for all of us. And you're just wondering, how could something like this happen? But that's life. Death hits us when we least expect it. But as a fan of the MCU and T'Challa and Black Panther, you're just wondering as well, what's gonna happen to the story of Black Panther? What are they gonna do? And they decided, and I want to believe with the best intentions and with the best of heart, that they're not gonna move forward with the character of T'Challa. That they're gonna how do I say it? They're gonna move on to someone else to take on the mantle. And it sucks. And I think we all wish that Chadwick was still around. And a lot of people still wish. A lot of people still wish that T'Challa, the character, was still around and that they recasted him. That's a question that's still being debated amongst fans. Who knows? Would it have been a good idea to recast him? Maybe, or maybe not. Who knows? But they went with a different outcome. Someone else is another character is the Black Panther. Who it is, I won't spoil, but the journey they go on to is an emotional one, and and eventually they take on the mantle of Black Panther. And I'm not 100% completely sold on this character being Black Panther. I'm like 90% sold on it. But I think over time, especially if I rewatch Wakanda Forever, and I will, once it hits Disney Plus or physical media and whatnot, after rewatching Wakanda Forever, and then, with future character appearances by this character, I'll start to get used to this character as Black Panther and get on board with it. I mean, this movie's very good. It's emotional, probably the most emotional MCU movie, and one of the darkest for sure. Angela Bassett and Letitia Wright, their performances are tremendous. Angela Bassett will get an Oscar nomination for sure. I would hope that Letitia Wright will get a nomination as well. I think her performance in Wakanda Forever was great. Yeah, and Tenoch Huerta as Namor, as you can see right there. Where is it? Finger right there. There's my Namor pop. Right there. Yeah, if you can't tell, big fan. One of my new favorite MCU characters. Tenoch Huerta as Namor was charismatic, threatening, badass. Man, Marvel needs to deal with whatever rights issues they have with Universal so that we can get a Namor solo movie and a Hulk solo movie as well. Because, man, well, that character was great. I thought he was a great villain. And I can't wait to see the character again. This movie was a whole range of emotions, and it made sense, considering the circumstances, and also, they were deciding to acknowledge that Chadwick Boseman was no longer there, and that T'Challa was no longer there, because Chadwick Boseman was no longer there, no longer with us. So yeah. It's an emotional film, and one I highly recommend to check out. It's one of the better MCU movies, and one of, if not the maturest MCU movie we've gotten so far. So, yeah, check it out. That's my number 6. Number 5 is Bullet Train. Yes, this movie was on my top 10 anticipated movies of 2022 video as well. And it did not live up to the hype. It did not. It was disappointing. Piece of shit. Just kidding. It lived up to the hype. I love this movie. This Bullet Train, from start to finish, just non-stop fun. This is a movie... excuse me. This is a movie you watch when you're feeling down or depressed. This is a movie that will lift your spirits up, because it's that type of movie. It's so good. It's so exciting. The chemistry between the actors is great. The action is great. The cinematography is great. I mean, how the movie is structured is a lot of fun and exciting. The chemistry between Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry, so good. Their chemistry was impeccable. I hope they make a spin-off movie starring these characters, because they're so good. They're great together. I hope they make a movie about Lemon and Tangerine. But yeah, I mean, Bullet Train, such a fun movie. David Leitch knocked it out of the park, in my opinion, and I hope they do a sequel. Yeah, what more can I say? It's a fun movie. Go check it out. My number 4. Whew. Never expected this movie to be on my list, because I was not really highly anticipating this movie, considering the previous movie, and I'll explain in a bit once I say which movie my number 4 is. And my number 4 is Glass Onion. What? You didn't like Knives Out? I didn't. I liked it just fine. Well, to be fair, as well, I only did see it once. So if I watch it again, maybe I'll like it more. But honestly, the first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, this movie's fine. You know, I liked it fine. I didn't think it was great. And also I thought it was a bit overrated. And I didn't understand why everyone was praising the hell out of it. So, you know how sometimes, I don't know if this is a relatable thing, but sometimes, there's, you hear people talk about this one movie that's so good, supposedly, and then you check it out, and you're just like, yeah, I can see why you see that. But honestly, yeah, I didn't, Knives Out, I was like, fine, And then they were making Glass Onion, and Netflix paid a lot for the rights to the second and third Knives Out, I believe. And Daniel Craig and then Ryan Johnson, woo, good payday, Mr. Beast money there.
$100,000 check.
When Glass Onion was coming out, in terms of there was the promos and the poster and the cast that got announced for this movie, I was like, all right, I'm intrigued. I'll check it out. Even though I didn't like Knives Out that much. So I didn't really expect much from this movie. I watched it, and then I was just blown away by how good it was. It's great. It's literally one of the best movies of 2022. And it's in my top 10. And I love it so much. It's so good. Daniel Craig gives another knockout performance as Benoit Blanc.
Benoit Blanc, idiot. Benoit Blanc.
The cast, the ensemble is great. Edward Norton, Dave Bautista, Catherine Hahn, Janelle Monáe, especially her. That's Janelle Monáe. There's potential for her to get an Oscar nomination because her performance in this film was great. Same with Daniel Craig. There's potential for him to get nominated. But yeah, the mystery itself was very fascinating and exciting and twisty in terms of plot and just insanity. This whole film was just a huge puzzle piece that you were trying to figure out, and then when it all came together, you're just like, what? It's amazing. It's a movie that everyone should watch. Much, much better than Knives Out. Then again, I've only seen Knives Out one time. But, I've only seen Glass Onion one time, and I think it's automatically way better than Knives Out. So, yeah. Glass Onion, number 4. Check it out. Now, my number 3. It's another controversial pick. Because it's so damn good. My number 3 is my top 3 films for 2022. I had trouble deciding which one was going to be number 1, which one's going to be number 2, but I think I was able to. It was a bit easier to determine which would be number 3, and number 3 is The Batman. I think it's the best comic book movie of the year. It's one of the best Batman movies ever. My favorite Batman movie is still The Dark Knight, but The Batman is number 2. My second favorite Batman movie. Just like Batman is my second favorite superhero, after Spider-Man. Sorry, Batman! Well then, yeah. The Batman, it's fair. It's so different from previous Batman films, live action films, because it's much more detective noir base than the Tim Burton Batman, and the Christopher Nolan Batman, and the Zack Snyder Batman. You know, Robert Pattinson is great as Batman. You know, and people weren't on board with him as Batman, and because of Twilight, and poor guy, those films will forever haunt him. you know. But I think the Batman helped alleviate those concerns and helped show people how great of an actor Robert Pattinson is, because he really is. You know, he's much more than Twilight. I mean, watch him in Harry Potter. He's great in Harry Potter. And his performance as Batman is great. As Batman Bruce Wayne is great. Jeffrey Wright is great as, James Gordon. Paul Dano as the Riddler. One of the best comic book villains in a live action comic book movie. So good. It's so psychotic, so inspired. Very inspired by the Zodiac Killer. It was so good. It's like if David Fincher decided to make a superhero movie, this would be it. Matt Reeves, he's a tour de force. He's a great director. His Planet of the Apes films, are great. They're great. I love them. Cloverfield, another film he did is fantastic as well. And now the Batman, he did. It's a long way from his humble beginnings, directing a David Schwimmer film. And I mean, the Batman, my number 3. It's so good. Please check it out. You won't be disappointed. It has no connections to any DC universe or anything like that. It's pretty much, as of now, it's its own thing. Please check it out. So good. Highly recommend. For my number 2, this was tough. For my number 2 and my number 1, it was tough between these two, because I was having trouble I had trouble deciding which one would be number 1 and which one would be number 2. But I thought about it for a bit, and then I was like, alright, this one's going to be my number 2, and this one's going to be my number 1. And my number 2 is Jordan Peele's Nope. I love this movie. This movie is great. A lot of people didn't like it. I won't understand why. Just because it's not as scary as Get Out and Us. Can't you appreciate fine art like you appreciate fine wine, my good sir? But anyway, I love Nope. I think this is Jordan Peele's best film since Get Out, and probably his best film by far. I just love how he directed this movie. I mean, the grand landscapes he used. I mean, there's a UFO involved. It's a UFO. It's a UFO. It's flying. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but man, true to Jordan Peele's films, there's always a twist. So when you watch the film, there's more than meets the eye. Daniel Kaluuya reunited back with Jordan Peele after Get Out. He's great in this film. Keke Palmer is like the standout of the film. She's like tremendous. Loved her since her True Jackson VP days. She was great, man. I hope to see her. I hope to see her in more stuff after this film, because she is a talent, and people should take notice how talented she is. And yeah, and also I have a crush on her. But it'll never be because we're too far apart. Anyway, but yeah, the night scenes that they shot for this film, so good. It's it's amazing how they shot those night scenes. Yeah, it's not really, it's a horror hybrid. It's like a horror adventure film. Critics have described it as a Spielbergian. Has a Spielberg influence to it, and it very much does so. It very much does, and yeah, I mean, it's. I don't know how much more praise I could give the film. It's so good. It's the reveal. I won't say what it is, but the reveal of what's going on is very, very epic and just strange as well and whimsical. But yeah, I guess that's all I gotta say. Go watch it. It's another very highly recommended film. All right, my number one. And like I said, I had trouble deciding which one would be number one and which one would be number two. Nope. It's going to be our number two. And my number one is going to be Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. This film, man. How could you not love it? How could you not love this film? Well, I'll tell you the truth. I didn't love this film the first time I watched it. For one, when I went to see in the theaters, I was a bit late, so I probably missed like a good 9 minutes of the film. So I missed 9 minutes. 9 essential minutes, because you need to pay attention in this film, because every little detail counts. And also, first time I watched it, I was like a bit confused. I was like, wait, what? So that, deterred my enjoyment of the film. But that's on me. I should have paid more attention. So I rewatched the film, when was it? Recently. Probably, I think last week. Yeah. And rewatching the film, I was like, man, this movie, the movie, first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, this is a pretty good movie. Don't get me wrong. This, like, the director's so much passion, so much love you can see through the screen. You can feel it. But rewatching the movie, I realized, man, this movie's great. It's fantastic. It's one of a kind. It's the best multiverse movie of the year, and Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is like a teensy bit. It's only like a tiny bit crazy compared to everything, And it's like, this film has literally everything: emotions, laughs, sadness, existentialism, depression, multiverse scene, and all that stuff, and great performances, great cinematography. What's not to love about this film? Like Michelle Yeoh, she gives a great performance as Evelyn. Like the whole cast is great, but like she carries this movie, man. Like, man, her performance, like, it's so good. Like, it's great. Her performance was great. And I hope I pronounced his name right. Ki Hoi Kwan. I hope I said his name right. I hope I didn't butcher it. You know, the actor from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. He played Short Round, and he was also in the Goonies. And this is like his first acting gig in like 15, 20 years, maybe. And he's fantastic in it. He's great. He's a great actor. He's so good and charismatic, and you just love the guy. You just love him. You know, you feel bad for him, and then you understand why Evelyn is unhappy, and also, but also you understand both sides, but also you're just like, man, I get both of your sides, but also how could you not love this guy? You know, he's so lovable. You just love him. He's so caring and so charismatic. And also because the actors have to play like multiple roles basically in this film because of the multiverse and all that. And they're tremendous in every role they play. I mean, there's like one with weird hot dog fingers. I was like, okay, that's interesting. Interesting stuff. If you're an inspired up-and-coming filmmaker, this movie should inspire you, definitely, because it's a movie that doesn't let you go, and it captivates you with its story, with its personal story amongst the craziness. But it's elevated because of the craziness, because of the themes that it's dealing with. It's so good because of that, and because of its performances, and amongst other things, the direction and all that. But yeah, that's my number one. Everything Everywhere All at Once. So yeah, that will do it. That's my top 10. This might be a pretty long video. Sorry, try to make it as short and as efficient as I could. But yeah, that's my top 10. Do you agree? If you don't, that's totally cool, dude. Anyway, Happy New Year to everyone, and 2023. It's gonna be a great year for film and television as well. And I cannot wait. And yeah, man, just hits after hits. Well, not consistently. You know, there was a couple of stinkers in there. Like, did anyone watch the Grinch movie? I heard it was caca. Anyway, that's it. I hope you guys enjoy. Yeah, that's it. Check out all the films I mentioned in my top 10. They're all great. So yeah, have a happy new year.